Welcome to Go, only on Shaw TV. We're here today at the former log site in Squamish that is slowly being converted back to the Squamish estuary, and that's in a large part thanks to the woman standing next to me, Edith Toby, who is the project manager for the Squamish River Watershed Society. Everything looks great, but like we were joking, you wouldn't know really that it's becoming an estuary again, but a lot of work's been done here.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, it's exciting times.
Yes, it is.
So let's talk about before, like we said, the conversion back to the estuary. What is it the group does exactly that you're a project manager for?
Well, the Squamish River Watershed Society, we're a nonprofit. We were established in 1998 with a focus to take a holistic approach towards watershed management, which is a lot of words, but in essence it means restoring disturbed areas back to their natural function. Working with logging areas, restoring unstable slopes where there's been erosion, working in the estuary, putting in tidal channels, or doing work like here today, taking brownfields and converting them back to functional estuary, or running education outreach programs where we're bringing students out to the natural areas in each of their neighborhoods and learning firsthand about the rivers and oceans.
And obviously Squamish being, a log town, former log town more, I think you have a lot of projects to do. Is that why it began in 1999, or why they need to bring in the society at that time?
We've been established and operational since 1993. We started as a committee looking at the influence of the Whistler wastewater in the Squamish River and into the Squamish River. And that was a very important time of looking at water quality issues. And it helped to form our organization and bring together the partners, working with the government, working with the First Nations, working with the local community and the municipalities, that in the early 1990s, through Forest Renewal BC, were able to participate in the Watershed Restoration Program and start looking at every watercourse affected by logging and forestry and start putting together basically a recipe for how to restore damaged areas.
It's amazing how much you can do in such a quick amount of time. This was March, you started this program here. So tell us what this site was like when you first came and broke ground, I guess, earlier this year.
When we came here, it was basically where we're standing right now. We were about 3 to 4 feet higher up, and it was just a uniform disturbed area from a log sort, and what we've been doing since then is removing and regrading the area back to the lower elevations.
You can see the excavators are busy, obviously, and so that's been the last 6 months, and since then, like you said, already plants are growing and nature's almost taking its course. It's amazing.
Absolutely. So what our focus is here is regrading the area to a natural low elevation, which is where the Lyngby sedge, the predominant vegetation in the estuary, wants to grow. And we've been also connecting new tidal channels.
All right, let's start to our first story of the day. Thank you so much, Edith. Along with helping preserve the environment, another passion we have here in BC is art. And in West Vancouver, the Harmony Arts Festival is a perfect place to browse creativity, with no shortage of views. Over 70 pop-up artists, 50 musical performers, a dozen food trucks, and one stunning view. Welcome to the 25th Annual Harmony Arts Festival.
The West Vancouver community has quite a large arts culture here, and so what began as a sort of a celebration of arts within the local community has grown into this extremely big event. There's a variety of activities for the family to be doing, things of all ages, and it's also a beautiful place. It's a great scenery here.
I'm here with Tanya Glebe, one of the artists taking part in the Harmony Arts Festival, one of many pop-up artists. Tell me about your craft you do here, very eclectic and different.
Yeah, I make all kinds of jewelry out of mixed materials, mostly natural materials, horn, bone, leather, horsehair.
With this, the 5th year, Tanya has been selling her work at the festival, which now draws in over 130,000 people throughout its 10 days. The benefits for her and the rest of the participating artists goes beyond making a profit.
There's a lot of networking, actually. We share information about sources of where to get certain materials, what shows are really strong. There's certain shows that are really strong for jewelry. There's some for the artists. So a lot of sharing of information. It's great.
Along with artist exposure, the summer event is also a chance for performing bands such as tonight's Me and May to reconnect with their BC roots.
We're playing for our community. We're both from the Lower Mainland. The entire band's from the Lower Mainland. And so it's just awesome to play where you live and to make new fans in your community. It's the first time we've ever played at the Harmony Arts Festival, and we're right on the ocean. It can't get any better than this.
We get to sleep in our own bed tonight, so it's exciting, which doesn't happen often. So
it's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
However, for festival goers wanting to sleep where they party, you can do that now too, for a price.
We have a pop-up marina going on in which you can bring your boat by reservation, and you're essentially having a valet parking for your boat. You can go leave throughout the day, enjoy the festival, and you have a place to stay overnight, which is your own home.
I may get one of your boats parked down there?
I do not.
One day.
Yes.
With locally catered eateries and beer gardens also set up along the waterfront, just like the art itself, this event is a celebration, one that is likely to continue for years to come. To view photos of this year's festival, be sure to visit harmonyarts.ca. Well, we're kind of combining a harmony of nature again. I was trying to think of a way to connect the two, and we're here again at the estuary with Edith Toby. Edith, let's talk about here. You've noticed you've connected the tidal channels from the ocean back into the estuary. Amazing, and I'm just wondering, what's the process in doing that?
Absolutely. Again, we've got very important partners. Working with the province and working with federal fisheries, we come up with a design plan showing how we want to restore the area, where we want to put tidal channels in, where we want to put walking trails in, and then we physically are out here with the equipment operator, the big excavators, digging down, placing the soil and building the tidal channels to a depth that we've already determined that's going to maximize on habitat for fish. We really want to focus in here on Chinook salmon and coho salmon. And this is where the expertise of working with the fisheries biologists come in, so we know what depth to build it to, how wide we want to make this. And then we just physically go in with the machines and build it. You're going to see one really large big tidal channel going diagonally from the site, from where we're at, and you're going to see a couple of smaller little tidal channels that we call dendritic, sort of like the tree roots, all over the place, again to maximize on habitat for fish.
And interesting, like you said, that brings in the salt water mixed with fresh water. How does that benefit fish?
Well, the salmon in particular need estuary habitat as they're emerging from the freshwater systems in the spring, coming out from their little eggs. Many of the salmon, including coho, including Chinook, need a couple of months in the estuary to get used to changing and converting, metamorphosing into their ocean skin, so to speak, so that they can then be able to live and thrive out in the ocean. In the estuary, we've got that wonderful mixture of fresh water and salt water. Also is a wonderful mixture of nutrients and a food source for not just the fish, but for the wildlife as well.
Yeah, amazing. And on top of it, you've also got, obviously we mentioned with the society, many volunteers help out locals. The bridge behind us, tell us about that. Someone in town built it for you?
Well, we paid for it, obviously. We've got a local contractor, Mark Wilmot, who was able to construct the bridge for us. It's going to go at the end of the day right where we're standing when we make this tidal connection and be part of the trail networks to allow people to access the site without disturbing the areas we've been restoring.
And we'll talk more later on about species at risk you mentioned in Squamish that you're trying to help with the estuary. So stay tuned for that. But throwing to our next story of the day here on Go. While Whistler is a world-class resort we all know, how it actually came to be still remains a mystery for many locals and tourists. But thanks to a new walking tour, many are now stepping foot into the city's past. For Whistler Museum manager Trish Odorico, it's a time of day she looks forward to most.
I love leading the tours because it's kind of a break from my day inside the museum.
With another full group waiting for her, donation box and photos packed, the Whistlerite heads off to lead today's museum tour, otherwise known as the Valley of Dreams tour.
All right, welcome everybody to the Whistler Museum walking tour. When you come to Whistler, not everybody wants to come into a museum. So it's really nice to take the museum out there. To start, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about First Nations history here.
Everywhere we travel, we always like to take tours because it's nice to see the beauty of the location you're in, but I'm more about learning the history of how it got there.
Indigenous people did actually use Whistler as a trading corridor.
After a brief talk about surrounding First Nation settlers to start the tour, the group of mostly BCers heads to the village, where they learn about pioneers Alex and Myrtle Phillip, who together built Whistler's first tourist attraction, otherwise known as Rainbow Lodge, in 1914.
You can see on this map, it's just right here on Alta Lake. So that was kind of the first hub of Whistler. What people really enjoy is the history, the pioneer history especially. Myrtle Phillip, she was one of the best fly fishermen in the district. She set and nursed broken bones. She lobbied for the first school here. So yeah, she's a really fascinating character.
From there, it's off to stop number 3.
Here we are at the mountains. So Blackcomb and Whistler. Does anybody know why they are named Blackcomb and Whistler? Blackcomb looks like the comb of a rooster. And then Whistler is the hoary marmot. And that's actually what Whistler is named after.
That's kind of cool trivia. I'm not good at Trivial Pursuit, but I might use that one.
So let's walk just a bit over this way.
Along with mountain pop trivia, the group has also shown one of Whistler's first gondolas, one of the many lines and structures built as part of the city's first bid to host the 1968 Olympics.
Many people think that the main village in Whistler was always where it has been, but it was actually started in Creekside, and Creekside was the original village base and where the original gondola left from.
While the city may have lost the bid, it forged ahead to officially open up Whistler Mountain in 1966, with architects hired to convert the city's downtown dump into what's today's Whistler Village in 1975. For newlywed tourist Ralph and Menchu, taking in the resort's history is just as important as its sights and restaurants.
So often we visit a place and we don't really know how this place came about to be, and I think it's good to have this insight.
The main thing that stood out for this group?
In the beginning of the 1900s, that a 10-acre parcel of land costed $700 up here.
That it was really a woman that pioneered Rainbow Lodge, and that's pretty exciting.
That it took 3 days to get up here in the old days by horse or carriage or things like that. And we got up here in an hour and 20 minutes.
And with that, it's on to the last stop of the tour.
This is from an announcement of when they heard they got the games.
For Trish, being able to share Whistler's many milestones, including bidding and finally hosting the Olympics in 2010, is a joy that, unlike the museum's photos and items, never gets old.
I love leading the tours because I always meet very interesting people, always, from all over the world. When I started at the museum, I had no idea that the history was so big. I think a lot of people don't come here to learn the history of Whistler. They come here to ski, snowboard, or mountain bike, or whatever. So it's kind of a nice bonus when you do learn the history. It's enriching. All right, you guys have been an awesome group, and that concludes the tour. Now back to home base.
Coming up,
there really is something for everybody out there, and you see a different demographic at every festival.
music, art, and cheesecake? A look back at this year's Squamish Valley Music Festival. Welcome back to the show. We're here today on Go celebrating the return of the Squamish estuary, and we're actually located right now in the central part of the estuary at the top of Howe Sound. Gorgeous day. And the woman standing next to me is Edith Toe, project manager for the Watershed Society here in town. Edith, let's talk about, as we said, this is a common area for birds to migrate. Have you seen, or are you expecting more to come, maybe, in the coming years due to the restoration?
Absolutely. These areas become really important for the birds coming up, having resting, staging areas as they're heading up to Alaska or to other parts of the province. And obviously when it was a brownfield, very limited with habitat, but now as we're seeing it transform back, we're going to see more birds nesting here. We'll probably see some ospreys nesting on the tall posts, and I think it's going to be one of the real highlights.
Yeah, you're having trouble with the interview. We're joking, spawning all the birds already flying
That's
above.
right, that's right.
Awesome sightings. And along with that, we were commenting on the different plants that already are popping up. It's been going on since March, the restoration project, but tell us about that. Many of them are just coming up on their own.
They're emergent plants. It's quite phenomenal to me that as soon as you start building these areas, the plants come in. We're going to try to tailor it over the years to try to accelerate the growth, primarily focusing on the salt marsh plants like Lingby sedge and the common rush. But right now you're going to see a lot of greenery growing on its own. We've got a whole bunch of little willows coming in. We have a whole bunch of cattails coming in that favor the fresh water. That's going to start to transform when we get these tidal channels connected and more of the salt water coming in.
Yeah, gorgeous. And like you said, you have volunteers, even 150 that help plant some of these. Tell us about those planting parties you offer.
Well, in March, just as we were finishing off parts of the project and parts of the trail, we had 2 large planting parties. One day we had over 60 volunteers coming out, planting about 200 plants. So within 15 minutes they were done. And the plants beside us here are Sitka spruce and hardhack and the native shrubs and trees that you're going to see in the estuary. Yeah, we're just trying to accelerate what will naturally come in here. And on the higher elevations, we're going to get the trees and shrubs. On the lower elevations, down by the tidal channels, we're going to get the rushes and the Lingby sedge growing. Wow. And of course, the tidal channels themselves will allow all of that beautiful tidal influence twice a day to come up with the tides up and down. So it's all going to be inundated throughout the day with water. Amazing. At different times. Yeah. And that again provides us rich nutrients.
Okay, more with Edith coming up later in the show. Let's start to our third story of the day. We were talking about parties earlier. It's a good segue. The Squamish Valley Music Festival has just wrapped up once again here in town. And while it's known for its partying, we thought we'd stop by to see what other factors make this party such a blast. The 6th annual Squamish Valley Music Festival rolled into our city once again the first week of August. Once again, there was no shortage of energy.
I love Squamish Music Festival!
What brought you to the festival?
Mumford & Sons. Sam Smith. Sam Smith brought me here.
Alabama Shakes. That is the Cantoness show of the festival if you're into rock and roll music. So far, it's been amazing. We had a lot of people come out early yesterday. We had an amazing day of music, and people were very well behaved, and yeah, we had a great night.
With a record-breaking 118,000 music lovers attending this year's festival, featuring close to 90 performing acts, the beer gardens and partying was in full force throughout the weekend in what remains Squamish's largest event. However, while getting a chance to party for 3 days in one of the most beautiful places in BC remains a top attraction for this festival, there are other aspects that keep people coming year after year.
Now that we have established the music program so well and everybody's come to expect a certain amount from that, we've really turned our attention into the details. We've got a giant art pavilion that's new this year that features 21 muralists that are live painting throughout the weekend.
Along with art and clothing pop-ups, attendees of all ages were also treated to live performances and pancake breakfasts atop the nearby Sea to Sky gondola, along with musical performances downtown. And then, of course, there's the food. What are you ladies eating here?
Deep-fried red velvet Oreos. They are so good!
From Cajun pulled pork and dim sum to cheesecake on a stick, the festival's 75 food carts, and most festival caterers for that matter, go beyond granola bars and hot dogs.
The food's actually really good. I was surprised. I didn't expect that many options.
There really is something for everybody out there, and you see a different demographic at every festival. I love finding that musical act that you've never heard of before, and you kind of walk by it and you're like, holy cow, they're fantastic.
With close to 40 music festivals now taking part every summer throughout BC, and plans to add even more art installations and attractions to next year's Squamish Valley Music Festival, there really is something for everyone, no matter what type of festival goer you are. Hard to believe they've already announced the times and dates for next year's festival. It's taking place August 5th to 7th, of course, here in town. If you'd like to view a recap of this year's Squamish Valley Music Festival, you can visit their website at squamishfestival.com. Well, just like things are picking up speed here at the Squamish Estuary, the same can be said for the Will Ross Band here in Squamish. We spoke to its frontman on playing at this year's Pemberton Festival and also what it's like to climb to the top of the Sea to Sky music scene. Wherever Will Ross goes, so does his guitar. In fact, growing up playing in his high school and local cover bands, it was while studying history and philosophy that the then Ontario University student realized his true calling was music.
I skipped the majority of my classes and stayed inside my dorm room and wrote songs.
About 9:15 on the Scotch train yesterday, I met a man, oh, he was looking pretty worn out and I shouldn't shoes, okay, is what I said.
And so, the Eastern native quit school, eventually moving out west to pursue his passion of becoming a full-time musician in 2013. With a large portion of the history buff's lyrics focused on political and economic issues, including this one on Japan's overworked labor force, the Squamish resident quickly began to make a name for himself along the Sea to Sky corridor, with Will becoming more content with his new life's decision with each performance.
I'm with the 9 to 5, I'm pushing overtime and the daily grind just so I can pay back the money that the bank's done lent to me.
When you're singing and playing songs, when you get that reaction from a live audience and you can tell that they're really enjoying it and you're just bouncing that energy back and forth off of each other, it's a wonderful feeling.
And with that, Will, along with his new musician friends, formed the Will Ross Band in mid-2013, the group releasing its debut CD, Freeloader, in 2014. To add to the excitement, the lead singer also won the 2014 Whistler Talent Search, as well brought on Vancouver singer Emily to complete the band that same year.
My trust is broken and you've taken all I had to give you. Oh, you're breaking my heart.
The way he plays guitar and the way he sings, it was just everything about it. I was like, you rock. Can I just play music with you?
Since then, the group's success has continued to pick up speed. Along with performing at Whistler's Great Outdoors Fest and the Squamish Wind Festival, they also opened up for the Sam Roberts Band at this year's Pemberton Music Festival.
Playing on that size of a stage and with that good of sound quality and everything, it was an amazing experience. Emily is one of the reasons why our band is, I believe, getting so much notoriety. I've always wanted to have in a band a backing female vocalist. It just completes that sound.
With the Will Ross Band having played close to 50 shows this year alone, for Emily, being able to sing alongside Will remains one of the biggest thrills and joys for the professional singer.
The amount of confidence that he has in his music has been really inspiring. He's been pushing me vocally, and he's been, really getting me to take those parts that I didn't originally think I could hit. He's just like, you can do that. Like, come on. And then I try it, and I'm like, oh my God, I can. Like, this is great. So, he's been pushing me to be a better musician and a better songwriter.
Whether it's singing about the North American debt crisis, environmental concerns, or good old-fashioned love, for Will, being able to spread awareness through music is a reality that's both exciting and humbling for the now full-time artist.
It's a dream come true. I can't say how thrilled I am to be a part of the Sea to Sky. The more opinions and the more knowledge and stories that we all share with each other, the more all of us get to learn. The important thing is that we all listen.
To hear the group's songs, visit willross.bandcamp.com. Emily and Will play an acoustic performance every Wednesday if you want to check it out. It takes place at 7 o'clock at the Ruddy Duck in downtown Squamish. Definitely go, it should be a good show. Well, speaking of a good show, it's been awesome looking at all the work you've done today, Edith. Definitely a lot to look forward to the next few years.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's talk about, though, as we mentioned, you do have the little planting parties. Volunteers can plant plants, but when does the next one take place?
Well, we're planning to do, obviously it's been a very dry, hot summer, so we have to wait for the rains to come before we can start putting more plants in the ground. So we're hoping the end of September in conjunction with Rivers Day, which this year falls on September 27th.
And if people want to sign up, how do they go about that for, like, say, planting other things you do?
Absolutely. We're probably going to be advertising in the local newspapers and on Shaw if possible. That would be lovely to put that event down.
Sure.
And as well on our website and on our Facebook page. So Facebook, Squamish River Watershed Society, look us up, or on our website, squamishwatershed.com.
Okay, awesome, for sure. And we'll talk about one other thing you offer before the end of this show. It's really neat for BCIT students and Quest University students. They can use this as kind of their testing field.
What we're doing is we're working very closely with the university and the Technical Institute and with their programs and with their advisors and putting together a long-term monitoring program as part of the students' curriculum. So as part of their programs, like the Ecological Restoration Program at BCIT, the students will be coming out once a year, learning about the work we're doing, and we're going to put them to work to help us to do long-term monitoring. As the place is transforming, they will be recording.
Amazing. I'm sure a lot to measure for sure and learn from.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I should ask you at the end of the day, I'm just getting your enthusiasm throughout this whole shoot. You love seeing, like I said, just even one little plant come up gets you excited.
It's very exciting.
It's so exciting. So why do you love doing this at the end of the day? You've done so many projects in Squamish.
It's been a real joy for me. Hey, look where we live in Squamish, and having the opportunity to work in this natural environment and to bring back the wildlife, the fish, the otters. You know, at the end of the day, I feel so fortunate having this opportunity, working in with a nonprofit, with the partnerships that we have, learning all the time about nature and about where we live, and helping to work with the industries, with the businesses, with the governments, and really getting that emphasis on our natural environment and encouraging people to come out and explore.
Yeah, it's a real long-term change you're making here in Squamish, thanks to people like you. So
well, thank you.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, that's today's show here on Go. Thank you as well for joining us. If you'd like to send us any pictures you have, maybe of other marshlands areas in Squamish, you can reach out to us on Facebook and on Twitter. And as always, you can view all of our stories on our YouTube channel. Just go to the link at the bottom of your screen. Until next time, I'm Vanessa Ybarra.